What up, Winbush here, and today I'm excited to get you guys started with the fundamentals when working with the motion design module inside of Unreal Engine 5. And as you can see inside this example, I built this really quickly here in Unreal Engine 5. This would be something that we would build in TV. We're working at a TV network for a channel ID that would say like coming up soon or coming up next. You would have it go over top of footage with a clean wipe, and then it will have the station information in there, which before we would do this in After Effects, but now we can do it in Unreal Engine. And the cool thing about this, which is going to be the first thing I'm going to show you guys, I can actually share this with you guys as a toolkit if you wanted to go in and you can manipulate it or just backward engineer it, and it's called Storm Sync. So in order to activate it, we're going to come up here to edit, come down here to plugins, and then we're just going to type in Storm, and you're going to see Storm Sync. So this is going to allow us to actually export this out as a SPAC file, and I could give it to you guys. You can re-import it, and it's just going to be the same thing that I gave you guys. So once you have this activated, if you want to share this out, you would come down here to your content drawer. I'm just going to dock it in here. And now where it says Winbush demo, I'm just going to right click, and then you want to make sure it says Storm Sync right here. You're going to click on export. And that's going to ask you everything that you want to export. So you want to bring over your fonts, you're going to bring over your images, just everything inside of the demo here. I'm just going to export by clicking next. And then it's going to ask me what I want to name it. It's usually going to come up with your project name and then the date and then some numbers that identify it at the end. I'm just going to do it with the project name, which is Winbush demo. It's going to tell you everything that's going to be packaged up. And then right here where it says file path, this is where you want to save it out as. I'm just going to leave it as default. So I'm going to click on finish. And once it's done, down in the lower right hand corner, I can click on open folder. And once it opens the folder, you should see this .spac file. Now you can see that's only 400 megabytes, a little bit under 400 megabytes in there, but you can actually zip it up and it's going to be extremely small. But now let me show you how we can actually drag and drop this into a new project so you guys can go ahead and work with it. So I'm going to start a brand new project file inside of Unreal Engine 5.4. So I want to come down here to film, video, and live events. I'm going to start with a blank template here. Down here under project name, I'm just going to leave it at my project, put on ray tracing, and then I'm going to click on create project down here. Okay, so we have a brand new project in here. Now the first thing we want to do is activate everything that we need, in which I'm going to come up here to edit, come down here to plugins, and then inside the search bar, I'm just going to type in motion. And down here, you should see motion design. So I want to make sure I activate this, and then I'm just going to click on yes on this message. And then before I hit restart, I'm actually going to come back up here and I'm going to type in Storm. Now I want to activate both of these plugins here, and then I'm going to click yes again. And then I want to activate this one, Storm Sync Motion Design Bridge. Click on this one here, click yes again, and now I'm free to restart the program. Now once it's done restarting, I'm just going to come up here, exit this out, and then I'm just going to bring in my Windows Explorer, in which I have Winbush demo.spac right here. I'm just going to left click, drag this into my content browser. And then this is going to tell us everything that it's going to import. So I'm just going to click on import here. And now you should see all the files come down here in your content browser. So right here where you see level and you have your file name, I'm going to double click on this. And now if I click on play, you can see the project was brought right over. So this is the project that I built before, and then I started a brand new project file, just dragged and dropped, and I was able to bring that in. Now the cool thing about it is you could do it with several SPAC files. And so if I had several different projects built out and I wanted to consolidate them all in one project, you could just click and drag them all inside there and everything will be where you want it to be. And the cool thing about that is whenever I do project-based tutorials moving forward, I'm able to just export out the SPAC file, give it to you guys in case you want to backwards engineer it or just follow along. So from here on out, if I do a project-based tutorial, I'll be giving those to you guys absolutely free up on my Gumroad. So now that we know how to bring projects in from other people, let's actually start by building a project from scratch. So with a brand new project opened up right now inside of Unreal Engine 5.4, I'm going to come up here again to edit, come down here to plugins, and then I'm just going to type in motion, and then I'm just going to activate motion design. So I'm going to click on yes, click on restart. So now we're going to have a blank scene once again after the restart. Now the very first thing I'm going to do is come over here to my outliner. I'm going to hit the top one here, the atmospheric fog, hold down shift, select at the bottom, reflection capture, and I'm just going to delete because we're going to start everything from scratch. Now up here in the top left hand corner where it says selection mode, I'm going to left click on this, and all the way at the bottom you should see motion design. Now I'm going to left click on this, and that's going to bring up this window right here. But that's not all. We want to come over here at the top where it says motion design. We're going to left click on this, And now you can see we have our rollers, we have our motion design outliner here, and everything is set up how we need it to be. Now we want to bring in our cameras and our lights, in which right here where it says create defaults, you want to left click on this, and this right here is going to say add everything that we want. Now this was specifically built out to make it easy for anybody to just jump in and start creating, and so that's why I like deleting everything first and then just adding it here. So you click on spawn, and then right here under default scene, you see we have our camera, we have a post-process volume, we have lighting, and then we have directional light as well. So we're going to get into these here in a little bit, but let's start adding in some of our shapes. Now on the left hand side, you'll notice that we start seeing that we have 2D shapes here, just like we have in like After Effects or Rive. Then down here, we have 3D shapes, which you could draw out. And then we have our actors here as well, in which you have nulls, text, cloners, splines, and we can actually import vector files as well. But for this tutorial, we're going to focus on the 2D stuff right here, in which let's start by building out a rectangle. So if I left click on this, you notice that we get this red grid in here, and this is for if we want to draw in our shapes. Now, if you want to turn off the grid, if you come down here in the lower right hand corner where it says toggles grid on and off, you left click on this and that's going to turn that off. Then if you click again, that's going to turn it on. So this is for to help you draw your shapes out. Like if I left click in here and then I just bring it down here, now you can see we have a rectangle inside of our scene. So that grid really helps us out if we want to draw this out. Or if I delete this and I click on my rectangle, if I click on it again, now it's just going to bring in a perfect square into our scene. So that's two ways that you can actually bring in these 2D shapes into your viewport. And if I click on this box in the top corner, so if I select this one right here, now you can see we have our axes here, in which if I drag this out, now you can see we're starting to bring out our shape a little bit. So now it's a rectangle. If you drag it up, now it's going to be up. So this is also a way that you can bring out your rectangle here as well. Now, if I come over here inside of my details panel with my rectangle selected, let me drag this up a little bit. If I come down here where it says shape, this is another way that we can actually reshape this rectangle as well. So right here where it says mesh size, if I left click on this and click on free, now if I start moving this over, now you can see we're reshaping our rectangle. Same thing if I do it here. Now you can see that it's going up and down. But if I do it where we have it locked, X and Y, if I select this, now it's working in uniform. Now another way that we can control the shape, if we come down here where you have this upside down triangle, it says toggle shape editor overlay. Now if I left click on this, this is going to bring up this box, which kind of correlates with this box down here. So if you didn't have it inside your details panel, you could do it right here inside the viewport as well. So if I move this up and down, you can see we're moving our shape. If we wanted to change the slant on it, you just move this over like that. You can actually make it diagonal. Let me zero this out. Same thing for the right side. This as well, zero that out. And then down here where it says top left, this is for actually curving this in. So right here where it says size, if I move this over, now you can see it's rounding out that edge there. If you didn't want to do it that way, if you see this little dot when you hover over it, if you left click on this, we can actually start moving this in and out. So that's another way of doing it. You could do it over here as well. So this is really handy if you want to make like graphic boxes or lower thirds. This is exactly what you would do, just to kind of bevel this out a little bit on the edges, or round them out, I should say. And then you can also do that down here as well. So let me actually turn this off. Come down here where it says top left. I'm inside of my details panel. Come down here, zero this out. There you go. So these correlate what we saw over here inside the viewport. Same thing down here. If you move it left and right, that's just going to move it. You can see it's a little bit jagged here as well. So we can actually subdivide it right here. So if I bring it up to 15, you can see that makes it a little bit smoother. And so you have all these different attributes down here to really control the shape of your rectangle. So I'm just going to straighten this back out in here. And let's say that you wanted this to actually be 16 by 9, because by default, we're working inside of a 16 by 9 viewport. So if I come down here to where it says align actors, if I left click on this and I come down here to screen, if I come down here to the bottom right and select this, now it made the rectangle the entire size of my 16 by 9 viewport here. So if you wanted to start with a background color right off the bat, this is exactly how you would do it. So let's say I want to change this color out right here under material. For simple, I'm just going to leave it as simple for right now, solid color, and let's just make this maybe like a purplish color like that. So now you see we have a background color and you can start building on top of it. Now if I come over here to directional light, you can see that we can actually start controlling the light there. I'm not sure if you can see it, with the YouTube compression, but we do see the light affecting our area right here. Now, if we wanted our rectangle to not be affected by lights, if I come back down here under material, where it says use unlit material, if I select this, now we're going to get the absolute color right here. And the only thing about this will not be affected by lights or shadows or anything of the sort. So if you don't want it to be affected by the light and you want the absolute color there, you're going to use unlit material. Now let's say we have this rectangle in our scene or any shape that you drew in there and you want to actually extrude it out so it is 3D and we can use that bevel. Let me show you exactly what you need to do to be able to do that. So with my rectangle selected, I'm going to come over here to where it says operating stack over here in your top left hand side. If you select this, now over here you should see operator stack, in which we have two different selections. We have modifiers and we have animators. For right now, we're going to focus on modifiers, because if I come down here to where it says plus add modifier, left click, now you can come down here and you can see under geometry, we can extrude it like so. So if I left click on this, and then let me come right here to where we can actually jump out of our camera. So if I eject myself from my camera and just hold down the right click, hit S, I'm going to move back inside my viewport here a little bit. And you can see that it's starting to be a little bit 3D here. If I come right here, start moving my extrusion, you can see now we have a 3D extrusion here. So you can do that with any of the shapes up here, the 2D shapes, you can extrude them out. So now that we have that extruded, we can also add a 3D bevel on here, which again, under geometry, add modifiers. If I left click on this, come right here under bevel, select this, and now this is where we would insert our 3D bevel. So if I start moving this up, we're not seeing it, and that's because we have this as an unlit material. So if I come back down here under my materials where it says use unlit material, I'm going to select this off, and now we can start seeing our bevel in here, in which that went up too high. So let me come down to maybe about 5, and you can see that we have our bevel inside of our 3D object here. Now for iteration, if we move this up a little bit, it's going to smooth it out a lot. So 3 is going to be the highest right here, but let me actually move this up a little bit more. But as I put it at 10, you can see how it's starting to bevel that corner there. Now you might be asking, why not use the bevel that's down here under the shape? And that's because this is going to be the global bevel for the actual rectangle overall. So if I start moving this over, so let's say like up to 200, now you can see that it added a uniform bevel all around the edges. So remember before that we did top left, and now if you look down here where it says size, these correlate with each other. So top bottom or top right down here 200, bottom left 200. So this will be global for doing it for all 4 sides at the same exact time. And then also you might realize it's starting to get really congested up here. So actually, this is what my viewport looks like. Like I'm using an ultra wide monitor, so I'm able to add a lot more in there. So I would say if you have an ultra wide monitor or even a second monitor, go ahead, separate the tabs and really make this your own, because a lot of these tabs here, you're going to be using them all in conjunction at the same time. So it really helps if you have another monitor or if you have an ultra wide monitor. So just for context, the way that I like to work, like if I bring up my details panel to about here, right here, this is our main motion design outliner. I like having this up at all times. But if you notice, we have our traditional outliner down here as well, in which I like using both of these at the same time. So what I'll do is left click and I'll drag this underneath here, so around there. So now I can see both outliners at the same time. And then for my details panel, I'm just going to drag this over to the right so that we can have a full screen details panel over here on the right hand side as well, because I always like having my details panel up here. And then also for material stacks, I'll bring that up full screen as well, in which let's look into materials right now. So what I'm going to do is come over here to motion design outliner where we have rectangle. I'm going to delete this and let's start over from scratch. So I want to look back into my camera here. So I'm going to select my camera, come down here and do the avalanche centerware camera right here. So now we'll look directly ahead and let's add another rectangle in here. So I'm just going to double click on this. And now I have my rectangle down here. So I'm going to drag this over here a little bit like so. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to make this full screen. So down here, click on stretch. And now we have a full screen rectangle inside of our viewport. Now, one of the coolest things about the motion design mode, I personally think, is how we can actually go through and build out our materials just how we would inside of Photoshop. So with my rectangle selected here, if I come over, let me move this over to the right a little bit so we can see a little bit better. But up here at the top, we have material designer. So if I left click on this, now this is going to bring up material designer. So I'm just going to left click and drag this over like this, just right here in the middle so we can see it in full stack. but there's a couple of ways that we could go ahead and create this. Now, if I move over here on the right hand side, move this up a little bit, right here under material type where it says simple, we can actually left click and we can come down here to material designer, or with my rectangle selected, you could do create material. So I'm just going to click on material designer here. And now you can see that we have a grid pop up here, and inside of material designer, this looks very familiar. It looks just like it would inside of Photoshop. So if I left click right here where it says material stage, and I pull this up down here at the bottom, there's a couple of different ways that we could go about add materials here. Now under type, under texture, we can add a solid color, in which that's going to be just how we did before with simple. Same exact thing. We could just make maybe like a blue material here. Boom, just like that. So now we have our blue material on a rectangle. But the cool thing is right here on the right hand side, this is where we can actually start adding mask. Now you can add black and white mask, or you could do it procedurally inside of Unreal, but let me start by adding like an actual mask from a PNG. So down here in my content browser, I'm just going to right click. I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm just going to name this one images. And with my Windows Explorer opened up right now, I'm actually just going to take this PNG that I built out called lines. I'm going to left click, drag it into that folder. So now I have a black and white image here called lines. So with this selected right here, I'm just going to left click and drag it into this box right here. So this is going to be an alpha channel controlling this material here. But if I come down here and I click add new layer, and let's just do another solid color. So I'm going to do solid color. Now you can see that our materials are stacking just like Photoshop. So again, I'm going to select a different color. Maybe let's do green for this one. And I'm actually going to take this bottom layer here. I'm going to left click and drag this up. So it's over top of it. And now you can see that I have this over top of this material right here. So you can start to see how this is going to get really powerful. Like, let me come down and let me add something else in here. So let's just say I have this corn character. It's a Fortnite character. Left click, drag him into here. And now I'm going to select a new layer. And I'm going to do this one actually with the texture. So I'm going to left click on this. And now with this selected, I'm just going to take this corn character, drag him into here. And now you can see that we have our corn character over top of everything here. And then I'm going to clamp my texture here. And I'm just going to rescale them. So if I scale them down just like that, somewhere around there. Now you can see we have our character in here, and you can pivot over. So you can start to see how this is getting really powerful here inside the material stack. And if I didn't clamp this down, let me actually turn this off. You can just see that it's actually repeating. So if you don't have it clamped, it's just going to repeat your material there. If you have it clamped, it's only going to have it up solo. And then he looks like he's a little bit stretched. So I'm going to come down here to free, just maybe move him over somewhere like that. And now you can see how this is really powerful, how this is all being built out by just one material here. So with the material stack, you can already see how powerful this is going to be for motion designers. But let me show you how we can actually do like a transitional type move using a material stack only. So I have a blank scene here again. I'm going to double click on my rectangle, come down here and just make it full screen as we did before. And this one, I'm just going to use for our background. So over here, instead of my details panel where it says solid, let's maybe make this one. Let's just keep going with purple. So I'm going to make it purple. I'm going to come down here, make it unlit. So it's ultimate purple here. And then I'm going to click again on this rectangle. And I'm going to use this one for our corn guy here. So down here, I'm actually just going to make this a little bit bigger. So we're going to expand it out right there. And this time to make the material, I'm going to go to create material. And now you can see we have our motion design stack here. Make sure I have my second rectangle turned on. Under RGB, select this. And this is where I'm going to bring the corn guy into. So I'm going to come down here, left click, bring it in here. Now you can see we have our corn guy in here. I'm going to clamp my texture, make it a little bit smaller, somewhere around there. So now we have our corn guy inside of our scene here. Now let's say we actually want him to transition into here. So maybe it's like corn guy coming soon, Fortnite, something like that. So over here where we have this opacity channel right here, if I left click on this, now you can see it's starting to add a gradient inside of our scene here. So you can already see where I'm starting to go with this. But there are some caveats that we want to switch out. So right here, if I have this selected, I'm going to actually make this a solid color. I'm just going to make this one full white like that. And then I actually want to control the mask over here to do the wipe. So with this selected, down here under texture, I'm going to come down here under gradient, and I'm going to do a linear gradient. So now you can see we're starting to get the same effect again, where we could do a gradient wipe, but this time, instead of doing it with a pivot, because we don't see a pivot down here, right? We can actually add an effects channel. So if I come down here under FX, come down here under UV, I'm going to come down here under UV Panner, left click on this. And now if I scroll this down, you can see we have UV Panner, and this is where we can actually start moving stuff left and right. So let's say I move this all the way off, and I want this to come in inside of the sequencer to wipe on. We can actually come down here to where we have these 3 dots right here, and we can add a keyframe. So if I come into my sequencer, now you can see we actually add a keyframe. Now this is where having an ultra wide monitor actually really helps out, because we're starting to get crowded down here. But as you can see, we have our keyframe right here on frame 0. So let's maybe go up to frame 30, and let's just move this over like so. I'm going to left click, add another keyframe. Now if I play it inside of my sequencer here, so let me come down to where I can have the play button. Now you can see how it just wiped it on. So you can already see how we can mix up the material stack with the sequencer to get some really powerful results. But let's say we didn't want to use the sequencer to be able to animate some stuff. We can actually do that with the animation modifier, and everything will just move procedurally. So with the same scene opened up right now, let's say we want to have like a star kind of moving around on the side here. So if I come over here, left click, let's drag out a star. So I'm going to left click, and then I'm going to hold shift so it's equal all the way around. So now we have a star inside of our scene here. Let's change out the color. So I'm going to come back over here under my details panel, come right here. Let's say we want to make it red, something like that. Same thing, unlit material. And you can start to see that we're getting some Z fighting in there, because this is working in 3D space. So under location, if I type in -1 right here, it's going to actually pull it ahead a little bit, because again, if I come out of my camera, we're actually working in 3D space here. So we're starting to get it with this character too. So I would just come through inside of my operation stack here, select this, just move them out just a tad bit, and there you go. So we are working in true 3D space. So if you have everything on 0 on your axes, it is going to start to fight each other. But let's look through our camera again, like so. And let's have this star, so it's always rotating on its own, and we're not going to do any keyframes. So again, you want to come under operator stack, which is up here in the left hand corner, or already have it opened right here. I'm going to click on animators, and I'm going to go to add animators. Now if I come down here under time, I can just have it rotate over a certain period of time. So if I click on rotate here, now you can see it's rotating in 3D space, but we want to control it a little bit better here. So I'm going to scroll down my outliner right here where it says linked properties, left click on this. Let's move this over so we can see what's happening. So we have the pitch, yaw, and the roll. We only want to make it moving on a roll. So if I turn these off just like that, now you can see it's moving at 360 degrees, but it's going a little bit crazy, right? So right here under global frequency, let's type this down to 1. And now we're starting to get a little bit better move down here. And if you come down here where it says time source, you can actually control it manually. You control it through the sequencer. You have a lot of different options in here, and you just want to play with these attributes until you find something that you're happy with. Now, the last thing I'm going to show, which I think is one of the biggest updates, and that's how we can actually bring in fonts and actually control fonts how we're used to in other programs like Cinema, After Effects, Photoshop, etc. So if we come back over here on the left-hand side where we have actors, if I left click on this right here under text actor, I'm going to select this, select it again. And once we bring our text in, we're not seeing anything, and that's because we want to select a font. So right here where it says motion design fonts, if I left click on this, and let me just select a random one for right now. So where we see bangers, select that. And now we can actually see we have text inside of our viewport. So right here where it says text, I'm just going to type in Unreal. There you go. So now you can see we have our text already laid out here. And this right here, just being able to select our fonts right here is a huge plus. You know what kind of pain it was in the past to be able to do this inside of Unreal. So having this flexibility right here inside of Unreal is a major factor. But the one caveat is these are system fonts, so it does have to be installed on your system there, in which one way I like to organize it is using Nexus font. So right here you can see I have a font, it's called Milker right here. It's all set up, but if you have different projects set up that you're working on for clients, you can actually have them individually set to those different projects, and then that way you don't have to have a whole lot of fonts installed at once. So right now, as you can see, I have a project open for Unreal. Right here I have a font called Milker, and let's look for it inside of Unreal Engine This is a separate one. I'll leave the link down below, but it's called Nexus Font. This is a font organizer, and I've been using it for years. But let me actually minimize this. In this side of motion design font, I'm just going to look for MIL. There we go, Milker. So now we have that font right there. And the reason that I showed you that is because if you're using Adobe Creative Cloud, you know you have a whole bunch of fonts in there. As of right now, those aren't working. I know it's currently being worked on, but for right now, those won't work. But if you do have anything on your system, you can use the font management system, just like I showed you. Or if you have it installed on your system, then it's going to work there as well. But coming back down here, you can see you have your alignment tools and everything. Of course, you have kerning. You can kern this out. Line spacing, in which again, if I come up here and you actually type in enter, you can see that it's not actually doing anything. So if you want to make a separate line, you hold down the shift key, hit enter, and now you're on a separate line. So now I could type in engine just like that. So now we have 2 lines there. So that's another pro tip. You want to hold down shift and hit enter to break out a second line there. Now, if I keep moving down, of course, we could do line spacing now. So if I move this up and down, you can see that's moving there as well. And then also we can always make this 3D as well. So with our extrude, let's move this out maybe like 5. And if I break out of the camera here and just look through here and drag this out a little bit, you can see that's actually 3D now. So if I move this extrusion point in there, you can see that's 3D. You can always make it an outline there as well. So if you only want to have it outlined, let me look through my camera. Now you can have it outlined, and let me actually bring in my extrusion to 0, somewhere around there. You could expand your outline. Let's bring it up to like 5. So now you can see all the different flexibility that we have here inside of fonts here. And for doing our colors down here, you can actually do a solid color, which we have right now. You could do it under a gradient, in which you just move this over a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Actually, I gotta move this all the way over so you can see it. So you can see our gradient colors right there. Right now it's black and white. You can offset it like so. Just moving these attributes here, make it a little bit smoother there on the gradient. You can select the direction if you want custom, horizontal, things of that nature. So you have a whole bunch of flexibility with that as well. You could do it from a texture if you want. So just how we had our textures down here, let me just click and drag the corn guy in there. Now you can see we have the corn guy that's inside of there. Or if you want to do it lines. And then custom material, we can actually create with material designer right here. So if you drag this out, now you can work inside the material designer as well. And of course, everything is animatable here. So let me actually just come through, make it a solid color again. If I come over here inside of my text, I come down here to my sequencer. If I just left click, drag it down here into my sequencer, now we can start adding keyframes to everything. So let me move this over a little bit more. I know we're getting squashed up, but right here with our text down here, you have this plus symbol, you click on track. And then if you come over here to transform, this is how we can add our transforms. So location, rotation, scale. So let's just say I want to move this left to right. So bring it over here, click on my keyframe here. Or if you drag this out, you can do X, Y, and Z. Let me move this over a little bit more. So let me actually come over here to like 60, move this over a little bit more. And now I can make another keyframe. So now if I click play, now you can see that it's actually moving over. Now, of course, again, like let me actually Control Z, take away those keyframes there. If I come over here to where it says disable auto keying and auto tracking, if I left click on this and do auto key, now if I'm on like frame 60 down here and I just move this over, you can see it automatically added that keyframe. So now if I click play, now it added it. So that's just a few ways you add your keyframes down here. Now, I don't want to make this video too long, so I think I'm going to stop it right there. But from here on out, I'm going to try to do project-based stuff with this motion design module, because I think the best way of learning is actually putting a project together. So moving forward, I'm going to do a project, and then I'm actually going to give you the spec file so you guys can take it, download it, and play around with it yourselves. But hopefully this gave you a good start on understanding the 2D tools inside of Motion Designer. Of course, there's a whole lot more here. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'm going to be doing more tutorials, as I said, and giving you guys the project files. So make sure you lock that down, hit the subscribe button, and until next time, stay fresh, keep creating, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'll see you soon. Take care.